Hey, this is Politics with Laura, and I got a great one for you today. Mm, you caught me drinking my cafe au lait. All right, there's a lot going on over there in Europe, and Russian waters in the ukulele country. There's still a lot going on there, and I have to go back a little bit because there were some self-fulfilling prophecies that I spoke about, but it was sort of isolated. Now things have come together. Now oh my goodness, what is it called? Now Georgia, Republic of Georgia is playing a huge role with what is going on in this situation. Now you have the Organization of Security for Cooperation in Europe called the OSCE or OSC or OS. And they have pulled together many countries, up to what is it? Was it 74 countries they pulled together? I'm sorry, 59, 57 countries that they have pulled together. Now, before I get into OSC, all right, it seems like that Putin is still working off of the Minsk agreement to where the missiles between the U.S. and Russian waters has been agreed upon. Now, the U.S. said, nah, forget about it. Nah, I'm breaking that like the U.S. normally does. It breaks agreements like women break marriages. Okay, all right. but but it's still an issue. Well, not an issue, but Russian waters is still adhering to it, even though the U.S. is going about it in a roundabout way through the ukulele country. So they're sort of breaking the agreement through them. So it's not exactly that the U.S. is actually doing it outright. Like, hey, I broke the Minsk agreement and I'm coming after you, Putin. No, they're doing it in a roundabout way through the ukulele country in order to get their hands on the Russian water country. But they got to get rid of Putin while doing it. Now, I'm not going to rehash the old argument and the videos that I have done before about Russian waters wanting to be a part of NATO. And NATO said no, which doesn't make any sense to me at all because they want to take over entire Europe. But when Putin said, hey, can I be a part? Can I play? Can I play? No. They had something else in mind. Now, what I found rather interesting is OSC. OSC, that was formed in 1957, right about the same time when NATO and what is it called? The Warsaw Pact was agreed upon, which still to this day doesn't make much sense to me when Russian waters and the U.S. were together going against Germany. I still don't know what happened after the war. What happened? Was it Germany and they got mad, the U.S. got mad, or what? I don't know, but it is what it is. Now, I'm going to share my screen with you, and I want to start off with something that I brought up several months ago. Now, I thought this was rather interesting. All right. Now, Austria is under pressure. Did I want to do this one? No. Okay, since I'm here, I might as well keep it. Since I'm here. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Now, Austria is smack dead in the middle of a lot of the stuff that's going on. And they're under pressure to bar Russian waters from the delegation of OSCE meeting. And Russian waters was a part of that because it is a part of Europe, even though that they treat Russian waters as their unwanted step cousin or their unwanted sister from another marriage, however you want to put it. But I thought it was quite interesting. Uh, Here. Now, this shows you how big this is because the OSCE has 57 countries. But here, the parliament from the 20 countries have urged Austria to bar Russian water delegates from attending and gathering the world's largest security body later this month. Now, this right here happened in February. Oh, goodness. I'm not trying to get too sentimental about this. I just don't like the fact that life is being lost over something, in my opinion, so trivial. This didn't have to happen at all, but it's happening, and it's unfortunate. So now you have the 20 countries that are telling Austria, nope, don't let them come. Don't leave them outside the door. Don't let them in. And here the parliament from the 15 EU countries, as well as Canada, Georgia, Iceland, and the UK, and the ukulele country itself have objected to Russian waters participating in the meeting. Now, call me a softie or an optimist, but I believe that if Russian waters could participate, maybe things can change, unless if the OSCE countries do not want it and they want to perpetuate this. I'm not sure. I don't know whether it's that or if it's NATO putting in its influence, led by the US and OSCE, excuse me. But Russian waters would use the meeting to sow disinformation, fake news, hate speech, and letters sent to Austria's government. Now, okay, let's go ahead. Now, man. Okay. What's being placed out there is disinformation. Now, whenever you have two people fighting, yes, there is going to be disinformation from both sides to some degree, but it's always based on the truth. Always. And people laugh at me whenever I say every lie is based on the truth, which is a true statement because all lies are based on the truth. Okay? Don't hold me to that. But um, but here, the participants of the Russian water parliamentarian in Vienna session would be read in Russian as an indirect legitimate and part of the return of the business business as usual. Russian waters would find it could achieve its war aim without risking ostracism, isolation, and international sanctions. Well, the international sanctions has already occurred, so I'm not sure how much the OSCE is. Are they playing favorites? What's going on here? Now, I think, and this is simply my opinion, that they're playing favorites. You don't want to upset the other countries that are, that want to keep this skirmish going. Now, Russian waters had said time and time again, let's negotiate, let's stop this. And he said it several times. But however, it's easy to say that Russian waters is giving disinformation. It's very easy to say that because they're looked upon and no one likes Russian waters because of what's being said. Now, if you go back to last year, when I did a video about Joe Biden putting propaganda out there, telling people, the U.S. government, businesses, to leave Russian waters because they were going to get kidnapped. Biden had an interest, a huge interest to keep this going. And all of a sudden, everything Russian waters was awful. I mean, even Alex Ovechkin was canceled. I'm like, Russian water vodka was canceled. I mean, everything was canceled under the sun. Yeah. Then when Zelensky and Putin were able to come to the table to get an agreement, and Prime Minister Barrett, at the Prime Minister of Israel at that time, said, "Hey, Zelensky, go to the table and stop eliminating your people. Just stop." I'm not sure who got their hands on Zelensky. More than likely it was Biden. If you go back to my other videos, you'll see the lead up to this, to keep this perpetual skirmish going. But I found something rather interesting. Okay. Now the U.S. can do some very, very interesting things. It can. Let me share my screen, because this right here was okay. Is this it? Okay, here. Now this right here is out of Georgia Today. So most of the articles I'm going to show you are from outside of the country. So there's not going to be any bias or any of those things of that sort. So this is coming from the horse's mouth. Georgia Today. Now I found this interesting. Now this right here happened last month, July 19th. July 19th. Oops, what did I do? Uh-oh, what did I do? Okay. Put something. Okay, that's better. Now let me get something. That's better. Flowery. Okay. Now here, the U.S. Department of Justice published the information on activities of ex-president. I'm not even going to go there with his name. The ex-Georgian president, and the U.S. was keeping tabs. Now, Georgia has a lot going on there. Uh-oh, I don't think they want me talking about this. They don't want me talking about this. Now, they were watching over the former Georgian president. Why? He's no longer a public official, actually. I think he's incarcerated for a lot of things that he did. But let's go ahead and take a look real quick. I thought it was interesting, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if how can I say, Victoria Nuland had something to do with him being incarcerated. I'm just saying. I can't prove it. It's just a thought that I have in my head. Just a thought. But here, okay, the U.S. Department of Justice published information about the activities of the lobbying companies hired by the Georgian ex-president. Latia? And his mother, Jilly Alessandria. You can't wait a minute. Mother, him, and his mama. Wow. Okay. All right. Based on documents, Ackerman LLP carried out different activities during a 6-month period. Among them, now, beyond invasion of privacy, beyond, but they really went there. They went through telephone calls, emails. Medical experts say the Georgian lawyer and the consultant concerning Mr. medical condition. You can't make this up. You can't. I'm sorry. Hold on for one second. Hold on for a second. Where's it at? Okay, I'm sorry about that. I truly apologize. I just had to take care of something. I do apologize about that. All right. Okay. Now this is completely wild. Completely wild. So they're looking at, the telephone calls and all that, and his medical history. But here, the work with the medical experts, okay, I already said that in their supplemental and rebuttal reports, the submission to the Georgian courts, drafting proposed resolution for the EU Parliament, the conference call with what is considered lobbying and the diplomatic efforts aimed at obtaining the release of, what's his name, from prison for life-saving treatment. Now, whatever he did, I'm not laughing that he was incarcerated. No. Not that he needed life-saving treatment. No. But that the U.S. got that information and to help use it to get him, well, I don't think they were trying to help him at all. I mean, it's so wild. Okay, so I thought this right here was rather interesting, very interesting. But here, the communications with the officials of the U.S. Embassy in Georgia said with officials in Poland, in effect, that Mr. whatever his name is to be treated by the Polish physician. Now, why did the physician have to be Polish? Interesting, but I'll leave it as that. Efforts to arrange meetings with the would it be to get information? I don't know. Current president of the Georgia during his visit to New York to seek a pardon of the former Georgian president. So, I mean, I thought that was rather interesting, but it only leads into what I was saying what I was saying about how Georgia plays a big impact in this because they got a huge contract. The Republic of Georgia has a huge contract with U.S. NATO. They are going, that whole country is going to be fixing trains. They're going to be making and fixing trains. This is going to be huge. This is big. Russian waters is surrounded by all sides now. You got Finland and Sweden that have now pledged to NATO. Not that they were neutral the way they were supposed to be. Now, the ukulele country was supposed to be neutral and was. And it wasn't until I did videos before about Victoria Nuland, Hunter Biden. Oh, he's up to this in his eyeballs, along with Joe Biden, up to this in his eyeballs, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name, to destabilize that area. And now they're trying to I can't say it because I really don't have proof backing it up, but Poroshenko, he got ousted because he was too pro Russian waters. Now, you had other presidents of the ukulele country that were either centrist, pro ukulele, or pro Russian waters. And it got to the point where they're like, okay, let's go ahead and split it down the middle. You get east side, I get west side. I mean, west side, I get east side. But it didn't work out like that. But I thought it was quite interesting. So if Poroshenko, if they managed to get him either back in some way, get him back in and move Zelensky, because he already played his part. He made a lot of money. A lot of money. And please, don't take what I'm saying and turn it to something else other than what it is. The man became president. He was a comedian all up. If you look at some, oh my God. I don't know, it's kind of hard for me to take Zelensky seriously when I look at, okay, I'm going to leave it right there. It's kind of hard to take him seriously. Barrett, Prime Minister Barrett told him, don't do it. But he did. But I found here the ukulele country. Now this is very telling. Very telling. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Quite telling. And who's standing there? The ukulele's latest, the G7 signs a security guarantee for the ukulele. Kremlin warns West it is making a dangerous mistake. And I believe him when he says that. I believe him. His back is against the wall. Putin's back is against the wall. NATO wants to take over the entire Europe from east to west, all of it, all of it. And NATO should not even exist. When the Soviet Union fell, NATO was supposed to dissipate because it did its job. But no, it had other plans. Other plans. And I've said this in other videos. It had other plans. After when they took over all of Europe, what's next? To the south? Will they be going into Asia? This is one of the reasons why the BRICS nations exist. You have Brazil, Russian waters, India, South Africa, and China. none. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it right there. But let's go ahead and get into this. So Putin was like, "Hey, yo, you're making a big mistake. You might want to stop because you're pushing me. You're pushing me as Curtis Blow said, don't push me because I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. Ha 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 ha. It's a wonder sometimes you wonder how you keep them going under. That was back in the day, back in the 80s. But check out Curtis Blow. He was saying some serious truths back in the 80s. But the NATO officials and the leaders from its partner states continue their summit in Lithuania, focusing on Russian waters war and the ukulele in the path forward in inspiring. You know, I'm really surprised, and I'm really surprised that Lithuania is even in the midst of this. I really am. Uh, that country right there is a powerhouse. Luxembourg, Lithuania, money, money, and I'm going to leave it right there. But the G7 states signed the declaration outlining the long-term securities guaranteeing that the ukulele country aimed at deterring the future of Russian waters aggression. Now, all this could have been avoided if you just did not want to sign with NATO, because you were supposed to be that country, and you were allowed to, and the ukulele country allowed itself to be manipulated in that situation with, of course, whenever something wild is going on, the US has something to do, always something to do with it. If 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 the whole world was calm, believe me, I don't mean to sound so negative, please. I just don't like what my government does. I just don't like it. And it's the only way I can express my feelings towards it. Okay. Day after ukulele President Vladimir Zelensky expressed frustration at NATO. Yes, yes. Look, Zelensky, check this out. Zelensky, check this out. Look, come here, come here. You were used. They played you. You're a patsy. They played you like a flute. They played you. And as they played you, they gave you all of that propaganda and you ate it up, along with putting money down on the table. Now, I don't know whether you put that in your pocket or not, along with what $200 billion of money, taxpayer money, from the United States. And let's not forget other countries as well giving you money. To the point to where your wife goes to France on a spending spree, spend what was it, $80,000 at just one day. I don't know, at one or two boutiques. I don't know, but I'm still mad about that. Still mad because that's my money, my tax money. But I said all that to say, you were used, plain and simple. But here. So now Zelensky is expressing frustration with NATO's for its lack of timeline given, and he's never going to give you. They're never going to give you a timeline. No, you are the battleground. You are the battleground. That's it. You were used, and Obama looked into that and thought, no, the ukulele country would not be a good place to start. No. But Joe Biden did it anyway. I can't, that man. But the Kremlin warned in a statement that Western security assurance for the ukulele were a dangerous mistake that would threaten Russian waters' national security and make Europe less safe. And that is a true, true statement. You know, we may not want to look at it or admit it, but the US and Russian waters have had a Cold War for what, 30 years, while they were stockpiling all this nuclear stuff. And now they can use it. I could just see Russian waters come and just go all the way up, go all the way through Europe. And I'm not saying that likely. And and I'm not being flippant about it. It's true. They have a lot of weaponry. Now that they also are friends with China, or China, I'm being censored, being so heavily censored, getting this truth out. But that's what it is. And let me go on with this. Okay, NATO leaders stated that the ukulele's future is inside the military alliance, but it failed to give a timeline. Again, they're giving you false promises. They're over there giving you flowers, but no commitment. You're getting flowers and a promise of engagement. They're giving you an engagement ring, but no wedding date. You don't know when you're going to walk down that aisle. You don't know. You just got that ring and a promise. That's it. Meanwhile, Kyiv and other parts of Ukulele have come under repeated attack, with the capital as well as Odessa and Kherson or Kuryan, whatever, enduring waves of drone strikes. Oh my goodness. Oh, I gotta go back to Turkey. Oh my goodness, all these drone. Turkey's making money. Oh my goodness, Turkey, you're making all that money. Okay. Before and during the NATO summit, the ukulele military says Russian waters forces have launched more than 350 strikes on the wider country in the last week. And 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 it's sad to say they haven't even gotten started. This right here is just little petty stuff going back and forth. The full kiddo kaboom hasn't even started. It hasn't. I believe it hasn't started. I just no. But the Kremlin slammed development of the NATO leader summit held in Lithuania's capital, which the previous article that I had, saying the alliance has returned to Cold War schemes. Yeah, they have. And look, I don't think it's wise. I truly don't think it's wise for Europe to do this, especially when you're dependent on Russian waters energy, and also wheat, because Russian waters and the ukulele country both sell a lot of wheat to the entire world. Now the two of them are going at it. You think the famine of potatoes in Ireland was bad? Mm. Now India. Now India. I'll get into India later. Okay. But here, taking into account that identified challenges and threats to the security in the interest of Russian waters, we will respond in a timely and appropriate manner using all means and methods at our disposal. The Russian Waters Ministry wrote in a statement. And yeah, and you know, who is I don't know of any person or any country that would allow themselves to be beat up on and just say, I'm not going to do nothing. No. Mm-mm. No. In addition to the decisions already taken, we will continue to strengthen the military organization and the country's defense system in a statement added. Biden reaffirms commitment to NATO and ukulele country. President Joe Biden reaffirms the U.S. commitment to NATO and the ukulele country following a 2-day summit of the alliance leaders in Lithuania's capital. Biden, oh my goodness. Democrats, could you please pull this man aside? Pull him aside and talk to him. Biden described the support to Kiev's democracy and for calling of our lifetime. I would strongly suggest you, ukulele country, to rethink what you're doing. Really, really rethink what you're doing. Because Biden just came out of the Middle East. It's like, whoop, bye, see you later. See you, don't want to be you. It's what the U.S. has done. Go in, does what it does, and then leaves. And then you find yourself in a worse position than you were started off in. Many of you may disagree with me, but look at Afghanistan. Look at Iraq. I mean, just look at these countries. Okay, the U.S. secured the war chest worth more than 41 billion for Kyiv since the start of the Russian waters full-scale invasion last year. I don't think it was a full-scale invasion. No, I'm not a military person. I have no information at all. I'm just telling you what I think. And when I go back and look at how the U.S. and Russian waters started to have the U.S. and Russian waters has the most military gadgets on the face of this earth on both sides. And they're just calling it no, it's not an invasion. No, believe me. Well, I believe. But we did what, we always do. The United States stepped up. Really? NATO stepped up. Our partners in Indo-Pacific stepped up. Biden said and addressed in that city in Lithuania. We will never waver. That's a lie. Look. When Biden said we would never waver, that is a lie. Just look at the past 5 years. Need I say more? Zelensky thanked Biden, continued to push to join NATO. Look. Zelensky. All right. Okay. All right, Zelensky. You have done enough to the ukulele country. I mean, I want to feel bad for Igor Kolomoisky. I really do, but I don't. He brought that on himself. The ukulele country is the wild, wild west, and by you going after the oligarchs, taking their loot, putting them in jail, freezing their assets, doing all those things, is not going to bring you any closer getting into NATO. It just isn't going to happen. It just isn't. You have been used, abused, and tattooed and bojangled. Now, I don't know if that was a willful act on your part, Zelensky. I don't know. But I know you lost out big time. That's all I know. I just think both sides need to stop letting people go. I mean, people are being eliminated. But you know who I blame? Henry Kissinger. I blame him. But outside of that, this is a tragic situation. It's tragic. It's tragic for two reasons. You have two countries next to each other that one was supposed to be the support of the other. And all the other neutral zones were supposed to be there to keep Russian waters from having capitalism come at its door. Capitalism is at its door and it's banging at its door. And um, Russian waters is doing everything that it can to protect itself from being invaded. Now, people within the NATO community and even the United States military, people say, well, you know, Russian waters is a threat. But when you have some real journalists out there that actually going to ask the tough questions, say, well, was NATO encroaching on Russian waters, or was Russian waters encroaching on NATO territory? And the military, the general, I can't remember his name, looked into the camera, looked at the military, I mean the reporter, and said Russian waters was encroaching on NATO. A lie, a bold-faced lie. Again, Joe Biden, I'm going to say this again. Who are you working for? Whose interest? Whose interest? Big business. Whose interest are these people laying their lives down for? They're being eliminated for what? Is this a way for you to depopulate the earth in some way? I mean, what is your quota? I mean, I really want to know what is your quota? How many people have to be going to the great beyond to meet your quota? I just want to know, because you got everybody up into a tizzy. Everyone's up into the tizzy, and they are making full commitments to either NATO or either Russian waters. And it just so happens that the ukulele country just happens to be the starting point of all this. And it doesn't even have to be this way. It doesn't. But on that note, I meant to put that up. But on that note, what do you think? And most of all, I want to thank you